Hey guys, in this lesson we are going to deploy and configure Azure Key Vault, which is a secure storage service designed to protect sensitive data such as secrets, keys, and certificates. So in real-world cloud environments, storing sensitive data in plain text or in config files is a huge security risk. So instead, we use the Azure Key Vault service to securely store and manage secrets, keys, and certificates, and to automatically rotate secrets to maintain security. And we can also enable logging and auditing to monitor who has access to the secrets in our Key Vault. This is a very important service which you are almost always going to deploy in every project that you are working on. So this is the documentation page that you can use to familiarize yourself with the service. But for now, we are going to jump right into the Azure portal and see how to deploy the Azure Key Vault. So here in the Azure portal, we are going to go to the search bar and search for Key Vault. Now select the Key Vault from the list, and we are going to click on Create Key Vault. So the Key Vault is going to be deployed in our existing subscription. In terms of resource group, I haven't got any, so I'm going to click on Create New and then give the resource group a name. So now we need to give the Key Vault a name, and the name of the Key Vault must be globally unique. So just like the storage account, if the Key Vault name is already taken by someone else, you won't be able to use that name. So as you can see, I just entered this name here and it tells me that this name is already in use. And this is a Key Vault which I have already deployed in the past, and I've deleted this Key Vault. So the Key Vault which I deployed previously is currently in soft delete state. That's why I'm unable to use the name. So I'm going to update the number here to 002. And as you can see now, I have a green tick, so I can proceed further. In terms of region, I'm going to deploy to my closest region, which is UK South. The pricing tier, we can leave it as standard. Here's an important bit which you need to carefully understand. So here we have soft delete and purge protection. So imagine you accidentally delete a password which is stored in a Key Vault, or even delete the entire Key Vault itself. So what happens? If you don't have the correct protection in place, the data in that Key Vault is going to be lost forever. And this is where soft delete and purge protection come in. So the soft delete, as you see here, is enabled by default. And this ensures that if a Key Vault or any of the secrets, keys, or certificates are deleted, they are not permanently lost immediately. Instead of being erased permanently, it's going to enter what is called soft delete state. And the item is going to be recoverable for up to 90 days, and minimum is 7 days. During this time, the user can either recover the item that they've deleted, or they can purge the item, which means permanently delete it. And in terms of purge protection, the purge protection is going to stop users from permanently deleting a Key Vault or the contents of that Key Vault before the soft delete retention period here expires. It's going to ensure that the secrets and the keys remain recoverable for the full retention period. Even if someone tries to force delete, they cannot do so. And this is something that we implement and enable in production environment. So as you can see, this is currently disabled by default, which means we are not applying purge protection, and we can delete the Key Vault while it is in the soft delete state. However, if you enable it, that means you are going to enforce the 90 days to pass before you are able to delete the Key Vault. So I'm going to enable purge protection here just to show you how it works, since I already have another deleted Key Vault which doesn't have the purge protection enabled. And we are going to click on next to go to access configuration. So the Azure Key Vault supports two types of permission models: the role-based access control, also known as RBAC, and it also supports the Vault access policy. So as you can see here, the recommended approach is the role-based access control. And this is something that you can use for all Azure services, and this is not limited to the Key Vault, by the way. So the role-based access control is Azure's security model that allows fine-grained permission management by assigning roles to users, groups, or applications. We can manage who has access to the resources, we can use predefined or custom roles, and we can restrict actions based on roles, which means we are going to be following the least privilege access. So instead of granting broad permissions, the role-based access control is going to ensure that each user or application gets only the permissions they need. And this is the recommended way to control access to your resources and not just the Key Vault. So the role-based access control is based on three components: the security principle, as in the user, group, or application that needs access to the resource, and the role definition, which is a set of permissions, for example, read, write, and delete, and the scope, which is the level at which the permissions apply, for example, the subscription level, the resource group level, and finally, the resource level. Okay, so we are going to stick with the role-based access control here, and we are going to click on next. So as you can see, the key vault is publicly accessible, which means that it can be accessed from anywhere if you have permissions, and you can restrict access by allowing only trusted virtual networks, and you can enable private endpoints, which is the recommended approach, or we can block public access altogether. But for now, we are going to leave the public access enabled, and we are going to revisit this later on to secure it with private endpoints. So let's click on next to go to tags. Now let's click on next to go to review and create. Okay, so everything looks good here. Now let's click on create to create our key vault. Now that we have a key vault, let's quickly store a secret or a password inside it. So let's click on go to resource here. So in the key vault overview page, we are going to click on objects here. So expand it, and we have three options. So we can either create keys, secrets, or certificates. So for example, if you want to store API keys or encryption keys, you're going to be using keys here. If you want to store things like connection strings, passwords, username, etc., you're going to be using secrets. And certificates is for things like SSL certificates. So since we just want to store a simple password, we are going to click on secrets here. And here we are getting you are unauthorized to view these contents. So there's another important concept that you need to be aware of. So we have what is called the control plane permissions, and we have the data plane permissions. So the control plane is going to control who can create, delete, or configure key vault settings. And this is managed through the role-based access control. However, this does not grant access to the secrets, the keys, or certificates inside the key vault. So to see what permissions you have, you can go to access control here, and you can click on view my access. So since we own the subscription, you can see we currently have the owner role. So we have access to the control plane, but we are unable to see the data inside our key vault. And this applies to other things like storage account, for example, where you have data inside your storage account. So now moving on to the data plane. So what is the data plane? So the data plane controls who can read, create, or modify secrets, keys, and certificates inside your key vault. The users must have explicit permissions to access the key vault contents. The data plane actions include things like reading a secret, adding a new secret, listing all secrets, and deleting a secret. So we are going to click on add here and then add role assignments. And we have a lot of roles here that we can use depending on what you're trying to do. But since we are working with Key Vault, we want to get all the Key Vault related roles. So just search for Key Vault here. We are trying to create a secret inside our Key Vault. So this role seems to be what we are looking for, which is the Key Vault Secrets Officer. And here we have a description of what this role can do. So this role can perform any action on the secrets of a key vault except manage permissions. And this only works for key vaults that use the Azure role-based access control permission. So select this role and then click on next. And now we need to assign this role to a user, group, or a service principal. So we are going to click on select members here. So your account should come up here by default. If it doesn't, just search for your name in the search box here. Select your account and now click on select. So we are going to be assigning the Key Vault Secret Officer to this user account. And now we can click on review and assign and click on review and assign again. So the role has been added. So if we go back to secrets here, we are no longer getting the error message or the warning that we had earlier. To create the secret, we are going to click on generate import. We can give the secret a name. So this is just the name of the secret and not the actual secret. So here in this box is where we put the actual secret or the value that we want to safely secure. Okay, and as you can see, this is encrypted, so you won't be able to see it in plain text here. So make sure you are typing the correct value, and you have the option to set an activation and expiration date. So this is an option for you to use if you want this secret to be valid for a specific time frame, but we have no need for this. So we are going to leave everything as it is, and let's click on create. Once you store your secrets in the Key Vault, you have multiple ways to retrieve them. We can obviously use the Azure portal as we are now. So let's click on our secret name. So as you can see, we have versions. So if you were to update the value of your secret, you are going to get a new version. But since we only have one version, as we just created our secret now, so we are going to click on this current version. And if you want to see the value here in the portal, all you need to do is just click on show secret value. And in this box here, you can see this is my password that I have securely saved inside the Azure Key Vault. Now let's take a look at how to retrieve the value of this Key Vault secret using the Azure CLI. We haven't talked about CLI, but again, it's just some commands that you can run in the Cloud Shell or even from your local computer, as long as you have authenticated and logged on to your Azure account. Let's open the Cloud Shell. So just search for Azure Key Vault Secret Show in the search engine. And here we have the documentation page from Microsoft, which should show us how to use this. So here is what we are trying to do. We are trying to get a specific secret from a Key Vault. So let's click on this Azure Key Vault Secret Show. This is the command that we need to run, and these are some parameters that we need to pass. So let's copy this here, and let's go back to the Cloud Shell here, and let's expand this window. We are already authenticated, so we don't need to do anything. So let's try and paste the command that we just copied, Azure Key Vault Secret Show, and we need to now pass in the parameters that it requires. So we are going to pass in the vault name. So this is the name of the Key Vault that we want to access, and the name of the secret, so -- name, password. We shouldn't really need anything else. Let's try and run this and see what happens. Okay, there we go. We now have an output, and this is the value of the secret, password 123. So if you are running a script of some sort and you wanted to access your value, this is one way that you can do so. And finally, let me just quickly show you the purge protection and the soft delete. So I mentioned that I have already created a Key Vault, which I deleted before. So click on Key Vault here. So this is the current live Key Vault that we've got. And if you want to see your deleted Key Vaults, you can click on Manage Deleted Vaults. Select the subscription that you want to take a look at. And this is going to show me all of the Key Vaults which I have created in the past and deleted. So you can see I have a Key Vault here called KV Web App Dev UKS 001. And this was deleted on March the 4th. So if I wanted to delete this Key Vault or restore it, all I need to do is select it. So since I haven't got purge protection enabled, if I click on purge here, it means that this Key Vault is going to be deleted permanently, and we won't be able to restore the Key Vault or the secrets inside this Key Vault once we click on purge. However, if we wanted to restore it, then we can click on recover, and this is going to restore the Key Vault in the correct subscription. So as you can see, we have successfully recovered it. So now if we click on refresh, just click on it multiple times, and there we go. We now have the other Key Vault 001. So we've successfully restored it. So with this one, we've got purge protection enabled. Even if we try to delete it during the retention period, we won't be able to. So let's quickly try and do that. Let's click on this, and let's click on delete, and let's delete the Key Vault. Okay, so the Key Vault has been deleted. And now if we click on Manage Deleted Vaults, we can choose the correct subscription. And if we expand the name here, you can see that we have Key Vault 002. So if I select it and I try to purge it, you see, it tells you that delete vault purge is not allowed. So because we've got the purge protection enabled, so even if you try to forcefully delete it, we won't be able to until the retention period has passed. So that's all for this video. I know it was intensive. We've covered a lot of topics in here, but this is a very important service that you need to understand how it works. So that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.